Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined as always by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Alster and by Jack Milner from Quiff as well. So we're going to take a look towards some exciting racing coming up this weekend. We've got some pretty good cards at Ascot, Haydock and Wincanton. We'll take a look at Ascot first. Before we do, just take a little look at the weather. The going there is currently soft. There's a little bit of rain around in the forecast across the next couple of days, but on race day itself, it actually looks a completely dry and sunny forecast. So nice for you if you're heading off to Ascot at the weekend, as I am. So I'll be pretty much looking forward to that. We've got a really good race on our hands. We're going to be taking a look ahead to that Betfair Ascot Chase. Feel like I've been going on about this race for absolutely months because since 12 months ago, I thought that Pic D'Orhy could make it 3, but he's got some competition because in the market at the top, we do have John Bon, currently 8-15. You've then got Pic D'Orhy, obviously a 2-time winner of this race. You've then got Edwardstone, who was a winner in unfortunate circumstances last time out. You've also got Etalon in here, Blow Your Wad, Risk in the Ground, Classic Maestro, Cheltenham, and bringing up the field as well. Paul, do you fancy John Bon for this?
I'm in two minds about this. I'll be quite honest. You know, I really do think John Bon's a terrific horse. He doesn't need any introduction. We know how many marvelous performances he's produced in Grade 1 company. But he really did have a hard race, didn't he? Last time out here at Ascot over the 2 miles 1 in the Clarence House, where he looked beat on the home turn and then rallied. You know, he's all guts, isn't he? Came through to beat Thistleask. At this trip, this longer trip of 2 miles 5, he has won over very nearly this trip, but not quite. But the times he has won have been on good to soft ground. I just think that Pic D'Orhy is probably going to be primed to the minute for this. We know this is his race. He's won it the last 2 years. He ran over the wrong trip on his first start back at Weatherby, but was still only beaten the length by Jello. And then he didn't really run his race for whatever reason last time out over the course and distance. I think we can excuse a horse one below par run. He's going to come back a little bit fresher than John Bon. He's rated £4 inferior, but on the assumption that the weather's not going to be too bad, and it's probably going to be good to soft ground, maybe with a bit of soft. I think Pic D'Orhy is the one to have on your side. You know, the kind of 5-2 that's still offered. I'd have him against John Bon. But of course, we still don't know at this point just who is going to be running. I can't see Edwardstone winning at this level against those two outstanding horses at the trip, and the others don't, frankly, look good enough. So by a process of elimination, it's the hat-trick for Pic D'Orhy for me.
I fully agree with you. I love the phrase, you know, exactly what you said there. Pic D'Orhy will be primed for this. To me, this is Pic D'Orhy's Gold Cup. You know, he would have been prepping all year for it. It was a bit of a lackluster run last time out, but it was against like one of the Gold Cup favourites in Django Bay. So you've got to think that, you know, he perhaps just routed the field a little bit and the race kind of fell apart. So perhaps they didn't break Pic D'Orhy to try and catch up, which is why he sort of finished around 30 odd lengths adrift. So he didn't have his true running, but perhaps good to know it wasn't a particularly hard race for him in that respect. Jack, do you agree with this? Is it 3 of us going for Pic D'Orhy, or is it John Bon, or perhaps even elsewhere for you?
If you were playing the phrase of horses of the courses, you kind of have to go Pic D'Orhy, right? Right-handed 2.5 miles is probably exactly what the doctor ordered. I've got a sneaky thing for Edwardstone. Always really liked the horse. Even the Greatwood. I remember backing him over hurdles years ago. I might have got beaten the Greatwood. Regardless, there are horses that Izzy, that you kind of feel obliged to follow over a cliff. Edwardstone is one of those. I was just about finished with him. If you look through his form figures, he's seen the backside of John Bon, I think 6 times in the last 18 months. But just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. And the way he won the Sloveniaco Conti Chase at Kempton over to this 2.5 miles, right-handed, soft ground. Just have a sneaking suspicion if one of the main market principals block their copybook, I'd be keen to take a. If he's 8-1 on the day and there's 2 players on board, I have to throw a few quid in him, just in the hope. Again, this season, I think more than ever, we've seen loads of shocks in terms of one favourites now. They're not running to their form figures or mishaps or fallers. So 8-1, I just can't say no. I'm a sucker for that type of emotional punching, and I'll take the 8 Edwardstone on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I have a proper soft spot for Edwardstone. I love him, but I just have this feeling like, with these old horses, especially the old boys, because he is getting on a little bit now. They kind of have that one win in them per season. And I feel like that was it there at Kempton. And I just don't know whether he's going to do the same again this time around. But I think he'd be a pretty popular winner if he did win in terms of just racing fans, because he is quite well loved, that's for sure. But you've got 3 kind of good horses there towards the top of the market, and be certainly interesting to see how that plays out at Ascot. But there is more racing over at Haydock, where we've got a Grand National trial. The going is currently soft over at Haydock as well. They've got a very similar forecast to Ascot, a little bit of rain around the next few days, and then bright and sunny on the day on Saturday. So likely going to stay in that soft realm, you'd imagine. And the top of the market, we have Deafening Silence. You've then got Town with an entry here, Rivers Corner, Gitmaker, Richmond Lake, Monbeg Genius, Grand Jest, Holokia, Grand Albert, Neo King, Top of the Bill, and Bigger the Rest. There's only one more with Gabby's Cross at around 33s. Quite a nice little field. Some sort of big name horses that are certainly going to want to get a good performance in if they've got a target to go to the Grand National. Jack, if I come to you to this one first, who's your fancy here?
I was going to say the ambulance, but probably the wrong thing to say. This is going to be attritional. I remember Yala Enki beating, was it Black Lion, the Twiston Davis horse? So I thought couldn't get beaten this, and I'm pretty sure this was the same day waiting patiently. Probably favourite horse of the last 10 years. The same day when the Ascot Chase, lots of big doubles with Black Lion, and it was just brutal. And if it is as soft as it probably will be on Saturday, then this is going to take some getting. I can see why Deafening Silence is the market principle. Skeleton horse improve it unexposed, but you just worry about whether he's got the stomach for this type of slog. I like Mertown. I think he's a potential Grand National horse. He's got exactly the same profile to a One for Arthur. And I think he is a proper stamina laden merchant. He won the Ultimate 127 last year. He's gone up a stone for that. He's now £15 higher, but he jumps, travels, and stays. And for me, I'm happy to take the Lucen. I was going to say Lucen the Russell and Peter Scudamore, but he's lost the license to his son. But Mertown for me, carrying 11 stone 11 could be a slog, but I think he's up to the task.
Are you agreeing with that, with Town, Paul, or are you going elsewhere? Because there's some quite nice prices to be had in this.
I like a nice price. I'm looking at a double figure odds for my selection. Yeah, I think Town's got every chance. The market's highlighted his chance after, nearly beating Imperial Saint in the Peter Marsh. But I think Richmond Lake finished ahead of him that day, didn't he? And he's a bigger price, so I'm not sure about that. Deafening Silence is third in the Welsh National was a big effort. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be knocking on the door. And Monbeg Genius ran pretty well too at Chepstow. But I was so impressed by the way that Grand Geste won the Tommy Whittle Chase over nearly 3¼ miles at Haydock in soft ground in December. And the best thing about it was this terrific round of jumping he put in. Jumped like an absolute stag, stayed on powerfully. Now, he went to Doncaster last month, 3 weeks ago, for the Great Yorkshire Chase. Now, you may remember they had a lot of rain at Doncaster. Anybody that knows Town Moor knows that when it rains and then dries out a touch, it becomes kind of, it's a northern word. I don't know if you know this word. Is it claggy?
I do know about
You
claggy.
know,
Sometimes you can
well,
eat a cake and it's a bit claggy.
yeah, when it sticks to the roof of your mouth. Like, well,
Proper
this is
northern
the
word
when
that,
you
isn't it?
talk.
Claggy.
Yeah, it's well, I'm Leeds, aren't I? So, it gets really claggy at Doncaster. Really, and I just think the horse didn't go that day. And I'm prepared to forgive him. Some will say, well, he's gone up £10. So, the handicapper got him. It was just too bad to be true. So it's coming back to Haydock, where if it's soft, they tend to go through it. It tends to be more slushy and you can get through. But I don't think the ground's going to be quite so bad. You mentioned there might be just that ball of orange somewhere up in the sky that might help matters. And so running off 10 stone 12, with Joel Parkinson and particularly Sue Smith with such a great record with her staying handicap chasers, I think that Grand Jest has got a proper chance. And if there's enough there to bet him each way, he's 12 to 1 at the moment with a number of big firms. So he would be my each way selection, Grand Geste.
Okay, some interesting selections then we're coming through. I do like the look of Deafening Silence, I have to be honest. Like you say, that Skelton improver, but also, a really good performance last time out in that Welsh National, only 4.5 lengths off of Haiti Couleur, who obviously went and romped in at the weekend as well, just for good measure. So I probably favour Deafening Silence. I don't know if I can get behind Lucinda Russell's horses at the minute. It's similar to Venetia, not quite the drought, but it's not been a great season for them. But just one of the other ones that catches my eye a little bit, just because he's got a form in sort of more heavy gut conditions, and it could be on that softer side. I agree with you, Paul. I don't think it might be heavy, but certainly I think it will be soft. And I quite like the look of Rivers Corner because the Tizzards are still having a good time of things at the minute. So boring for the favourite, but I will be having a little go also on Rivers Corner. But speaking of heavy and attritional ground, you have got that at Wincanton. But it's been all change in the market at Wincanton, even in the past sort of couple of hours or so, hasn't it, Jack? Because you've got the inside scoop there.
Yeah, I bumped into one of the heads of trading for one of the big firms that will remain nameless at around, I think, at 1 o'clock, half one-ish. And he told me then that Golden Ace wouldn't be running in the Kingwell. I wouldn't say he might have said to get on a couple of others, but I was playing the game with a straight bat and we didn't want to get ourselves in bother. But yeah, if you look at the market over the afternoon, Jeremy Scott has released a statement saying that it's very unlikely she's going to run due to the ground. And I think we said off air that they'd be a bit daft to run her given that their Champion Hill is what 4 weeks away or just less than that now. So yeah, the market spoke a call, and I think Golden Ace was around 6 to 4, out to about 4 to 1. But I'd be very, very surprised if the reigning champion hurdler was to take up her engagement on Saturday, if the market is correct.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, prior to that big market move, she was odds on for the race, and it now has sort of appeared to fallen into the lap of Alexi, who is now favourite for the Tizzards, who I just mentioned are having a good time of things at the moment. You've then got Ruabald with Sandhurst and Davis on board for the very informed Paul Nicholls at the moment. You've then got Potter's Charm, which is very interesting. Maybe Potter's might not go. We don't quite have final declarations at the time of recording, but interesting because you would have thought Sam would be riding Potters, but he appears currently on our racing paper to be dropped up on Ruabald. You then have got that entry for Golden Ace, but it does sound she's very unlikely to go. You've also got an entry here for Katira, and the gorgeous Secret Squirrel also has an entry, having a run here after 371 days off the track. You've also then got your final entry at 50 to 1 for Interlotto. Bearing in mind what we know about the market, Paul, do you think Alexi's quite a nice price to win this?
I think that he is going to go off favourite clearly. If he does take his chance, he'll be favourite. I think this is a very different type of a race to the big handicap hurdles he's been running in of late. This could be a very different kettle of fish, and I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. This could, by the way, we're recording this on Wednesday, early evening on Wednesday, so we're still not in the dark as to the final decks. But if Golden Ace doesn't run, you're quite right to point out the initial booking of Sam Twist and Davis on Rhubarb. But if it's heavy ground, I don't think Rhubarb is going to run. Surely he doesn't like heavy ground. The one that really interests me here, if it were to show up, it would be Potter's Charm, because this horse has been running over 2.5 and 3 miles. He won in really good style at Windsor last time out on soft ground. Now, he hasn't actually run over anywhere close to this trip since he won that Grade 1 race. Is it the Formby hurdle at Aintree, probably about a year and a bit ago. This is a very sharp 1 mile 7. It's the shortest hurdle race, I think, anywhere in Britain. That they have at Wincanton. But as he's a front runner, and if it's really testing ground, which he can handle, if they were to just let him go, you just wonder what might happen. So I'd be very interested, to have a couple of bob on him if he were to take his chance. If not, it would be no bet for me. Got to be honest.
Yeah, and you might get Toby McCain Mitchell jocked up on him instead, even if Sam does ride Rhubarb, even though Potter's Charm's probably one of the best horses that are in the Twiston Davies stable. But I do agree with you. I think if Potter's Charm can go out and set the pace and keep it, that suits him, perhaps that little bit slower, not quite go that blistering 2 mile pace, then it might suit him certainly. I think if it does dry out a little bit, I think that it plays into the favour of a horse like Alexi that might be able to serve up a little bit of a quicker pace, and it might just find Potter's Charm out a little bit. Jack, any thoughts from you? I'm personally really hoping, just as a racing fan, to see Secret Squirrel back and doing well. They actually got decent form on soft ground over 2 mile. Do you think he could have a squeak here at all at 33-1?
He could. I think he's got a lot to find on unofficial races. I think if you compare him to Potter's Charm, I know he's going to get £3, but he's still got the best part of £20 to find, so he may struggle. I do like Potter's Charm, and I think, as Paul suggests, I think if Sam rides and he gets a soft league, it could be very hard to beat. The one I'm interested in is Katira, who was seemingly a penalty kick for the Skeletons, when third behind a horse who I love called La Vida Adiva, who actually runs at Kempton on Saturday. Kempton runs at Haydock, and I think it could have a good chance. I think it's some prize money, but she just didn't really get 3 miles on soft ground, and she previously beat Golden Ace at Wetherby in the listed mares hurdle there.
28 lengths that day.
Yeah, I think she's got plenty of speed. And I think if they go too hard up front, which there are always possibilities, especially in the ground, I think she could potentially pick the race up. But it's one of those where it's really hard. I do like Alexia, but I don't think he's going to be suited by the style of running. Again, as Paul mentioned, he's been running these handicap hurdles where they go off at a really strong pace. They got a good gallop, and it seems like a fair test. These 3, 4, 5 graded races has become a bit more trappy and a bit more tactical, and you just worry about him having that kind of tactical speed as a young, kind of inexperienced horse to adapt to it. But fascinating all the same. Potter's Charm for me over Alexia, but Katira will be the one. Just keep an eye on her, just in terms of picking up the pieces later on.
Yeah, I largely agree with everything you guys have said, really. I think I'm going to be keeping an eye on the weather forecast for this one, and certainly I might even just keep an eye out on the way that the jockeys are reporting the ground when they come back in from the first few races at Wincanton, to just check that it isn't too heavy, because obviously it could make a very big difference. You could see some last minute non-runners even on the day, just to see how that ground is, especially horses like Rhubarb. You imagine that Paul will keep him in to the point where he'll do a good course walk and see whether he thinks that he can run. So I will probably, if I was to have to make a choice anti-post, I would probably go with Alexei. I do love a good brocade runner, I'm not going to lie, and I think that he'll be okay on soft ground and probably be able to pull that one out. Probably, I mean, it will be his best victory to date, and I think it will perhaps solidify him to go and have a really good season as well next season, because he's sort of always, he's looked that sort of horse this year, like he was gonna be destined for good things. So nice to see like a good horse coming through the ranks, but yes, he's got to stand up against the big guns this time. But that is all we have time for on this week's podcast. Hopefully we've found you a few winners and that you all enjoyed the bright sunshine on Saturday in the weather. And we'll see you again next time.